All right, welcome back. We're going to do some JavaScript, but not in this video. In this video, I'm going to give you just a little bit of life philosophy, a little bit of a pep talk. And so the way you make forward progress is not without hitting challenges and barriers and obstacles, and it's not without disappointments. Like, there are going to be challenges, there are going to be disappointments. You're going to try for stuff, and you're not going to get it. And that's going to be disappointing and frustrating, and it might be a little disheartening. But take heart, my friend, take heart, because that's the path. And if you don't have your losses, you're never going to have your wins. And if you don't continue trying, then you're never going to find those places where you get to yes, or where you have your successes. And so those disappointments, those things that don't work out the way you want, things where that's it, where they don't work out the way you want, that's just par for the course. And that's what you've got to deal with to try to get to where you want to be. And that could be challenging, it could be hard, but it's better than the alternative, which is just to be complacent and to be discouraged and disheartened and depressed and to not put in the effort and to not try. And so the only way you make forward progress is through failure, right? It's by falling, it's by stumbling your knees, it's then by getting back up again and trying again. And I saw a friend recently kind of have this happen to him, and he had a pretty big loss in his life, in his career, right? Things didn't work out the way he wanted, and he crashed hard. Actually, now that I say this, there's another friend where the same thing happened. He got fired. Both these friends of mine, they got fired from their jobs. They lost their jobs for different reasons, and they're both great guys. And so just where they were at, it didn't work out for them. And one of my friends is already back on his feet, and he had a great couple of months of just soul searching and growing and living with the frustration and the terror and the fear of being unemployed. And he was sleeping on the couch of a friend's, right, in the city where he lives, at a friend's house. And the other guy, I know he's going to land on his feet too. But he's dealing with just sort of the disheartening, discouraging, that feeling of rejection hurts, right? That feeling of rejection. And then also I've definitely experienced that in my life. And so that's just front and center for me a little bit right now because of my buddies. And also I had a little bit of a thing that didn't work out the way I wanted. And when that happens, I kind of just take a moment to let it in and feel the disappointment, the discouragement, right? But I don't want to and I recommend, there's a really fine line between feeling what you're experiencing, but then allow, to feel it, right? To not deny it, but to feel it, feel the disappointment, feel the hurt of that rejection, but then also not to wallow in it, right? There's a fine line between feeling it and accepting your experience and allowing it and feeling some discouragement, but then not wallowing it and going into despair. And so I've rebounded pretty quickly. For me, it was only maybe an hour or two of watching a TED Talk and of okay, feeling a little bit, but it's okay, that door didn't open for me. That's all right. I'll just try something else and keep moving forward. And the only way you could get to doors that open for you is by trying many doors. And some of them aren't going to open, and then eventually you'll get to that one that opens. And I know this is prosaic, right? And I know this is common sense and common wisdom, but all too often common sense and common wisdom isn't common practice. And it's one thing to know the theory. And as not Michael Jackson, but as what's the boxer's name? The pugilist. His name is Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, as Mike Tyson said, right? Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. And so it's one thing to know the theory, but it's another thing, right? It's one thing to have a plan, but it's another thing when you get punched in the face. It's another thing when you're actually living it. When you're living it and it's bam, you get hit and it's that's not how I wanted things to work out. And there's that disappointment, that discouragement, but then this is just how you actually move forward. And so your perspective makes such a big difference. And so this philosophy here, this perspective, because common sense and common knowledge and common wisdom isn't always common practice. But this perspective that, there's going to be challenges, there's going to be disappointments, things aren't going to work out the way you want in life. And you could either capitulate and go into despair and give up on life, or you could say, you know what, I could take the blows. I could take the blows and I'm going to keep fighting, I'm going to keep moving forward, I'm going to keep trying. And I know that eventually that's going to lead to forward progress. And so that's what you do. and your perspective, right? Your perspective is so important. The way you see that perspective is so important. And so there's this guy, Nelson Mandela, and he's like a pretty significant figure in history. And this was his favorite poem, Invictus. And there's this movie that he did, or that was done about him, and it was done with Matt Damon and Morgan Freeman, and it's great. So well, look, it's 76% actually. But this Invictus, what that means, Invictus means unconquerable. Okay, and it's this poem about being unconquerable. And so here's that poem. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance I have not cried nor winced aloud, not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. So it's that spirit of not being defeated when life kind of hits you or knocks you down. That's the pep talk, and I share this because I know every single one of you who are watching this video, if you're still watching it to this point, right? Every single person in this world is going to face challenges, and things are not going to work out the way you wanted. And so how do you deal with that? How do you meet it, right? How do you meet it? You got to know it happens to all of us, and that you can either capitulate and give up and sink into despair and depression and go to pity and woe is me, or you could get back up off the mat, right? And with your face bloodied, with your nose bashed, you could say, this is the price, and it's a price I'm willing to pay to keep moving forward and making progress and to build a more skillful life and realize what I want to realize. So there's your little pep talk, and it's not only for you, it's also for me. See you in the next video.